The drama opens with our protagonists, Ningxi and Ting Xiao, who are making passionate love. 7 months later, a pregnant Ningxi is in the hospital and is upset that her fiancé doesn't care about her or the baby. Ting Xiao is a millionaire and the owner of a huge company. Currently, he's searching for the woman whom he'd spent the night 7 years ago. Later, as Ningxi prepares to leave the hospital, her evil stepsister Ming arrives and mocks her. She says that her fiancé is behaving this way because the baby she's expecting is not his. Apparently, 7 months ago, she spiked Ningxi's drink and tricked her into sleeping with a stranger. Hearing this, our heroine is shocked because this entire time, she thought she'd slept with her fiancé. Right at that moment, her fiancé Su Yan also appears, and Ningxi asks him if it's true. He reluctantly confirms it and asserts that he cannot accept this baby. Furthermore, he breaks off their engagement because he's decided to be with Ming instead of her. The two then leave holding hands, while Ningxi is in shock. Later, while she's heading home, a car approaches and runs her over. We then see her on a hospital stretcher injured and pleading with the doctors to save her baby. After this, Ningxi undergoes surgery, and when she wakes up, she sees Ming and her stepmother in front of her. She asks about her baby, but they laugh and reveal her child didn't survive. Ming further discloses that she'll never be able to be a mother in the future. Ningxi is devastated, and her stepmother adds to her pain by saying that she's no longer accepted in the family because she slept with a stranger and got pregnant. Ningxi claims it's not her fault, but the stepmother asserts that she will ruin her reputation and tells her to stay away. The scene then shifts to 5 years later, when Ningxi is abroad and still grieving the loss of her baby. Despite her pain, she decides to return home to her country. When she returns, she decides to audition for a role in an upcoming drama. Later at a bar, she is suddenly approached by Ming's assistant. The woman warns her not to audition for the drama because Ming is also cast in it. When Ningxi refuses, the assistant becomes aggressive and locks her in a room. However, upon looking around, she discovers that she's not alone and there's a little boy named Xiaobao. Seeing him, Ningxi realizes that had her baby not died, he would be the same age. Elsewhere, Ting Xiao is angry with his younger brother for bringing his son to a bar and asks where he is. His brother apologizes and claims he has no idea where the boy went. Meanwhile, in a room, Ningxi asks Xiaobao what he's doing there, but he doesn't say anything. Suddenly, the lights go out and the boy rushes to hug her in fear. Ningxi starts smelling something and realizes there's a gas leak, so she begins pushing the door until she manages to make a small gap. The boy then crawls through it and rushes to his father, Ting Xiao, who hugs him in relief. Xiaobao then says that someone is locked in the room. When Ting Xiao opens the door, he discovers Ningxi unconscious and immediately recognizes her as the mother of his son. The following day, she wakes up in a hospital room. Moments later, Ting Xiao arrives and she asks if they've met before. He's thrilled, thinking she remembers their intimate encounter from years ago. However, she just recalls that he saved her last night and thanks him. After a brief introduction, Ting Xiao tells her that he will give her anything she desires because she saved his son. Ningxi then asks for the opportunity to audition for the drama that his company is funding. He agrees to help her, but on one condition: she has to marry him. Hearing this, our heroine is left speechless and says nothing. As soon as she's discharged from the hospital, Ningxi hurries to her audition, where she delivers a wonderful performance. Although she doesn't land the main role, she does land the supporting role. Later, when Ming learns that her sister will be in the same drama as her, she becomes furious and scolds her assistant for not getting rid of her. In the next scene, we see Xiaobao refusing to eat anything and demanding to see Ningxi. Really, with no other choice, Ting Xiao takes him to visit her. She's happy to see them, but when Ting Xiao explains that his son isn't eating, she prepares a meal for them, and they all enjoy it together. Seeing the two bonding so well, Ting Xiao looks at them with affection. Sometime later, Xiaobao falls asleep, and Ting Xiao asks her if they can stay the night. Ningxi reluctantly agrees, and they put the boy down in her bed. Later in the living room, Ting Xiao tells her that her son trusts her, which is very rare. When she asks why the boy doesn't speak, he replies that he simply doesn't want to. Ting Xiao then reveals how his son once got into an argument with his grandpa, who told him that kids without mothers are very loud. He then changes the topic and asks when she's planning to marry him. Ningxi replies that she doesn't have to do this just because she saved his son's life. Ting Xiao then approaches her and tells her that maybe she just wants to sleep with him and not get married. He insists on being her husband, but she sadly understands that she can no longer have children, so she refuses his advances and leaves. The next morning, the two return home, but Xiaobao suddenly gets upset and starts breaking things. This enrages Ting Xiao, and he decides to punish the boy. His brother immediately calls Ningxi and alerts her of the situation, prompting her to rush to their home. Upon arriving, she stops Ting Xiao from hitting his son and angrily says that at his age, he needs love, not punishment. Seeing her protect Xiaobao, Ting Xiao gets his shit together and apologizes. Ningxi then takes the boy to his room and caresses his little head until they fall asleep together. When she wakes up a little while later, Ting Xiao asks her if she will move in with them. This takes her by surprise and she says no, but just then, Xiaobao runs up to her and hugs her. Unable to say no to his adorable face, Ningxi agrees to stay with them, making both the father and the son happy. Days later, the shooting of the drama begins, and Ningxi and Ming are face to face once again. During one of the scenes, Ningxi is instructed to slap her sister. She takes full advantage of the opportunity and strikes her hard. Due to this, Ming gets mad and proceeds to complain, but the director claims that it was a wonderful scene. Later, a pissed-off Ming notices Ningxi and the director talking intimately, so she secretly takes their picture to use it against her. The following day on set, Ningxi is memorizing her lines when suddenly her ex-fiancé, Suyan, shows up. He shows her the picture of her with the director and asks her to quit the drama. He urges her to stop being with people just to secure drama roles. He even offers her some money and promises to find her a decent job. Shocked, she asks him where he was when she was drugged and had a miscarriage. He admits he made a mistake and apologizes to her, but she gets angry and slaps him hard before leaving. That night, an upset Ningxi goes to a bar and drowns her sorrows. A little while later, Ting Xiao arrives and finds her shit-faced. He takes care of her and carries her home. He then takes her home and places her on the sofa, but she suddenly kisses him. However, when he stops her, she bites him on the hand and passes out. The next morning as they're having breakfast, Ningxi notices the bite marks on his hand and asks him how it happened. He reveals that she was the one who did it, but she doesn't believe him. However, when he starts to tell her how drunk she was last night, she's embarrassed and apologizes for her behavior. The following day at work, several guys show up claiming to be Ningxi's ex-boyfriends. Turns out, Ming sent them to fuck with her. And due to this, Ningxi's reputation takes a hit, and even her staff members begin gossiping about her. Ming tries to take advantage of Ningxi's vulnerability and proceeds to slap her. But right at that moment, Ting Xiao shows up and intervenes. He then warns Ming to stay away from his fiancée, which surprises everyone. In the evening, Ningxi is running her lines with Ting Xiao, but he is unable to concentrate because of how she looks. After they finish, he asks her when she plans to marry him, but she becomes very nervous and leaves without saying anything. The following day on set, tensions arise when they learn that the male actor has quit the drama due to Ningxi's reputation. The director is anxious about what to do, but suddenly Ting Xiao arrives and he volunteers to take on the role. Due to this, the shooting proceeds, and he captures everyone's hearts with his performance. A few days later, Ting Xiao's mother, Mrs. Qing, arrives to visit her son and commends him for his acting endeavors. During their conversation, she advises him to find a wife soon because he won't be able to raise a child alone. Hearing this, his brother informs her that Ting Xiao is already in love with someone. Mrs. Qing is delighted to hear this and expresses her desire to meet this girl. The following day, Ting Xiao's aunt arrives to visit him at his home, bringing a girl with her. While they're talking with Mrs. Qing, suddenly, Ni Xing shows up, unaware that they would be there. Seeing her, the aunt begins insulting her for being poor and trying to seduce a rich guy. However, Mrs. Qing surprises everyone by giving Ningxi the family necklace. She states that her son has chosen this girl and she supports them. Taken aback, Ningxi clarifies that they're not actually dating. Mrs. Qing replies that in that case, her son will have to work hard to win her over. Days later, Ning's father arrives on the set, and because he favors Ming, he's a complete asshole to Ningxi. He tells Ningxi to stop bothering her sister and get her own life. He begins to threaten her and says he will get her fired from the drama. But right then, Mrs. Qing arrives and berates the jerk. She tells him that she's the producer of this drama and she will fire his daughter Ming, who has no talent. She goes on to say that Ningxi is her future daughter-in-law and will give her some company shares as a wedding present. Meanwhile, in the background, Ting Xiao has found all the evidence that shows Ming has damaged Ningxi's life. He has also learned that she has committed several unspeakable crimes. Now wanted by the police, Ming kidnaps her stepsister and brings her to a secluded place. She blames Ningxi for her dire situation and claims that things would have been better if she had stayed abroad. She admits that she was the one who caused Ningxi's accident 5 years ago. Furthermore, her son is still alive and is none other than Xiaobao. At this moment, it's revealed that Ting Xiao was the one who found her during the accident and took her to the hospital. As Ming is about to do the unthinkable, Ting Xiao shows up, startling her. After fighting with the thugs, he rushes to his beloved and rescues her. Soon after, the police arrive and Ming is arrested for her crimes. Following this, Ting Xiao takes Ningxi home, where she tearfully hugs her son. At this moment, he speaks and calls her mommy for the first time, shocking everyone. Several months later, we see that our couple is now happily married. Xiaobao watches his mother in a commercial and tells her that she's beautiful, and she responds by kissing him affectionately. Seeing this, Ting Xiao feels jealous, so he claims that his wife is beautiful and waits to receive a kiss from her.